Hey everybody, this is Harrydog and welcome to this tutorial about setting up the Sinden Lightgun on the Raspberry Pi with Barebones 7. This is very much what I call a day one solution. This is just to get you up and running and get your first game running. So I'm going to show you how to set up the software on the Raspberry Pi. We're going to load up Duck Hunt on the NES and get everything set up and running. I am going to do subsequent videos showing the other systems and some of the more technical stuff, but this is really sort of Barebones 101. So without further ado, first thing you need to do is download the image itself. So if you go to my website, barebones.lightgun.dev, you can download the latest version, Barebones 7, and you'll get this compressed archive here. It's really simple. It contains the image and a little readme file there. The first step that you need to do is extract this image. So just grab it. I just dropped it on the desktop there. It'll take a while to decompress, but while that's going on, you can always give the readme a little read. That's what it's there for. Once that's done, you need to burn the image to an SD card. So I've popped a 64 gig SD card into my PC, and I'm going to load up this piece of software here called Etcher. I'll leave a link to all the software I'm using in the description. So we'll load that up. There we go, and once Etcher's loaded, you want to pick this first option, Flash from File. Go to the location of the image file, pick that, and then select Target. Now you need to pick your SD card that you've got plugged into your computer. It should be pretty obvious what it is. Make sure that you don't pick any of your system drives, because it will completely format them and overwrite them. So make sure that you've picked your SD card, hit select, and then hit the flash button. Again, this is going to take a while, so why not reread the readme file and make yourself a cup of tea. So once Etcher's finished doing what it's doing, if you open up your drives, you should see that your SD card looks a little bit like this with this file structure. I'll have this other partition on it, but it won't let you view it because it's a Linux partition. It'll give you, sometimes Windows will pop up this option to format it. Do not format it. And then it's time to move over to the Raspberry Pi. So I'll just show you the physical setup of the Raspberry Pi. It should be pretty obvious, but power's going in here. The HDMI that I'm using, always this one next to the power supply, it's HDMI 0, I think. And then plugged into these top two USB ports, I've got a generic Xbox controller and a Sinden Lightgun. I'm also connected to my router via an Ethernet cable. So it's time to pop in the SD card that we've just created and fire it up. So when you load up for the first time, you'll be greeted with this screen just telling you to configure the gamepad. So follow the instructions on screen. So once the gamepad's configured, you need to expand the partition on the SD card. So just go to the RetroPie menu and pick Raspberry Config. And this is going to expand the partition and use the full amount of space available on your SD card. So go to Advanced Settings, I believe. And you can navigate all of this with your gamepad. Expand file system is the first option, so select that. You'll get this message that the partition's been resized. You'll need to restart. Would you like to restart now? Yes. and hopefully your Raspberry Pi will restart. So the next step after this is transferring a ROM over, and we'll start playing a game. So back to the PC. Okay, so the next step is to load a ROM up onto the image. I've got a Duck Hunt ROM lined up here, so we're just going to copy it across. So my Raspberry Pi is connected to my home network. You can set it up to connect via Wi-Fi. I've not done that, I've just plugged an Ethernet cable into it because I'm lazy, and I'll show you some other lazy shortcuts here. So I've loaded up this WinSCP file transfer software. This is sort of relatively intuitive and easy to get into your Raspberry Pi using this. So for the host name, you can type in the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. You can find that in the Raspberry Pi menu. I don't do that, I'm really lazy. I just type in the host name, RetroPie. The username is always Pi, and the password is always Raspberry, if I can spell Raspberry correctly. And then hit login. And it's found it straight away. So you'll see this file structure here, this remote file structure. Go into RetroPie and ROMs, and you'll see all your systems listed there. Go into NES, and drop in your Duck Hunt file, and that's all you need to do. So back to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so we're back on the Raspberry Pi now, and as you can see, Duck Hunt hasn't appeared. That's because we need to restart Emulation Station. So go into the main menu, go to quit, press the correct button when you get to quit, and then restart Emulation Station. But you can restart the whole system. I'm just doing this because it's a little bit quicker. And there we go, Nintendo has appeared in the menu. So at this point, it's probably a good idea to configure the gun. Hopefully it's going to work because I'm in an incredibly bright room at the moment. But let's give it a go. Let's run the test for player 1 first. So in the ports menu, Sinden Lightgun test P1, and let's load it up. So when that's loading up, try and point sort of towards the top right of the screen, especially if you're in a bright room like this, because the cursor will jump around a little bit when you when you first start, and if it goes to the bottom right, it'll exit the program. So you can look down the sights of the gun. There's instructions for configuring the gun there. Surprising how bright this room is, I'm getting quite good tracking on that. So very happy with that. Take the cursor down to the bottom right, and I'm out of the program. Now the important thing now is to start the gun up again, because even if you've started the script to run the gun, the test script will kill it. So let's start this. I've got a recoil gun, so I'm going to start one of the recoil scripts. Start player 1 single shot, and it'll load up the software. And then it's time to go to Duck Hunt in the Nintendo folder. And you'll definitely be able to hear that music. Just turn that down a bit. So Duck Hunt now with the, as you can see, I'm getting nice tracking there on the gun. So let's start a game. Oh, and the recoil's definitely working as well. Now this is always the first game that I test with, so I always leave the crosshair on the emulator on by default. You'll want to turn it off because it tracks slower than than you moving the gun. And to do that, all you need to do is go into the RetroArch menu, so your hotkey and X, go to Options, and where is it? You have to turn on Advanced Systems Options, exit the menu, and then load it up again. Go down to options, there we go, and it's appeared there. Show crosshair, just whack that to off. And Dirk should be working if I can hit a Dirk. I'll end the video once I've hit a Dirk. There you go. If you found this video helpful, give me a like and a subscribe. If you've got any preference for what system I should be covering next, pop it down in the comments. I think I'm either going to do Mega Drive or SNES, maybe some of the arcade stuff. But yeah, within the next week or so I should do another video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.